That was an incredible panel discussion. And the next one is even more amazing because I'd like to introduce the discussion first. We've all heard about co-working spaces. We've heard about the WeWorks and the co-works of the world. But what exactly are co-living spaces and why are they becoming a trend all across the world? And how does community management fit into the co-living piece? Now, to discuss this very interesting, very fresh topic, I have two gentlemen. I have Michele Surya, architect Michele Surya, who is joining us all the way from the Philippines. He is the founder and the CEO of Woke Co-Living. And he is also a very highly esteemed professor at the University of Philippines. Hi, Michele. How are you doing? Am I audible, Michele? You're not. I think you have to unmute yourself. You're on mute. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Done.
Hi.
Hi, Asha. Sorry. Yes, very well, very well. We had some technical issue during the day, but I hope everything is fixed now.
Lovely. And I have Guy Broderickx, who is... Actually, I'm very, very jealous of him right now because he is the director of Coliv and founder of Art of Coliv, who is originally based in Paris, but is currently joining this conference from Guatemala. Correct?
That's correct. Yes, that it is. And we're going to have some 3 a.m. co-living Jews here.
Wow, that is incredible. I think that is the beauty of a virtual conference. I mean, the fact that we're in different parts of the world and we're here together to discuss something interesting, right? Great.
Totally.
So I'm going to jump right into the questions because we have very limited time. My first question to both of you is that we're all very familiar with co-working spaces because they have become very popular in multiple parts of the world. Could you help us understand what really is co-living? What are co-living spaces? How do you define co-living?
Sure. Maybe Michelle, is that how I pronounce your name right?
Michael, yeah, it's okay. Michael, Michelle,
okay.
It's okay.
Okay,
yes,
well, what about you first as operating?
Okay, fantastic. So, co-living is basically very similar to co-working, but basically is a community living model that is based on the sharing space. No? So similar to co-working space, co-living is a smart choice for people that want to contribute, gain, and be part of a community. No? So if we think about the co-living space, commonly people take over an existing building, like a small condominium, house, apartment. I think this is very common in Europe. Here we did something different because of the economics of the Philippines. So we decided to design the building ourselves because we wanted the space to be tailored for the need and also the economic of the people. So basically, we started long ago designing and building, and now we almost completed our first property, even though we're already in operation. And we had this vision of creating spaces that can deliver the warmth of a house, but still having the service of an hotel. No? So there's something in between. So so this is what we are currently doing now here in Manila.
Right. So if I understand it right, you're saying you're also building those structures, not only managing them.
Yes, actually, we are about to complete our first property in April. Is a 54 unit building. So it's an 8-story building. So far, we're already in operation, but our model basically consider having our own property that we develop ourselves and leasing property through third party, and we need to refurbish sometimes, furnish, and operate. Yeah.
Right, interesting. Guy, could you tell us what co-living is in your part of the world, and how is the definition different from what Michael just told us?
Totally. So I'm going to give you a big picture overview of what co-living is defined in the industry, and that would be really shared housing as a service.
Right.
And from there, there's like completely different avenues, right? So Michael, for example, you have a model that is built on like ground up development, but there's also models that goes into retrofit. The size of co-living spaces is different too. Certain co-living spaces will be more like student housing and have like 150 to 300 residents, while other operators will take like several houses across the city of like 30 inhabitants each. and call that co-living. I think when you look at co-living generally as the offering, as a product, as a service, the three main common denominators that there are usually flexibility in terms of housing. So you get rid of the landlord's fee or the agency fee of complicated paperwork. The second thing is design or architecture optimized for shared living. So not having everybody like in their own separate rooms, but usually having like clusters for common kitchens. And the third one would really be the focus on communal experience and services. And I think that's also like one of the main topics of discussion tonight, of like what services to create and how to create this communal experience within
right. We will come to that bit in a little while. Great. So but what are the factors because of which co-living is becoming a trend? I mean, what is contributing to co-living, and how is it really different from normal living? So how do you differentiate the two?
Maybe I can give my 2 cents. I think most co-living spaces offer co-living mostly for people who are in a phase of transition in their lives. So co-living is not at this point something where people go for a 5-year period of rent.
Right.
It's more, I want to go there for 6 to 9 months because I'm transitioning job, going from being a student to being a professional, changing my cities. And then behind that, there's a lot of like main drivers behind that, such as, change in values, that people want more experiences. There's a desire also for living in community, especially in COVID times now. But yeah, Michael, what do you think?
Michael, in Philippines, what are the reasons because of which co-living is becoming very popular as a model of living? Is cost an important factor? Would you say cost? Is it more economical to live in a co-living space vis-a-vis a normal space?
Guys, can you hear me? I'm a bit in a choppy. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, definitely true. I mean, I share the point of Guy. I have to say that I mean, I'm coming from Italy, from a, let's say, mature market, and having facing the situation in an emerging market like the Philippines, there is a bit of a differentiation. So definitely, what Guy said is very true. Here in the Philippines, there is a bit of difference because people opt for a co-living for the problem of commuting. So it's an alternative to commuting. So if you are familiar with many of the emerging countries here in Southeast Asia, there is a massive process of urbanization. No? So cities are getting bigger and bigger. Population, the people need to go to the city for work and to cater for their basic needs. And within our community, we commonly hear story about people commuting like for 6 or 8 hours a day. No, that I think is something that if you come from Italy like me, is something that is unbearable. Imagine spending 8 hours a day. It is 1/3 of your day. So take it from a lifetime, and it became a third of your life spent in the traffic. So traffic is a terrible environment because it's very polluted. So it's also bad for your health.
Right.
So co-living in Manila and what we're trying to deliver now is an alternative to commuting. So our selling proposition is delivering safe and convenient and of course affordable living space in the proximity of the CBD, the Central Business District. So ideally, most of our tenants have the opportunity to work to office. And I think this is an incredible game changer, no, for people that are used to commute.
Right. I think that makes sense. And would it be fair? Would I be fair in assuming here that any co-living space, especially like the one you're talking about, where you want to build safe, sustainable spaces that are closer to their offices or their workspaces, does it also offer a cost advantage over renting a normal apartment? Is it?
Absolutely. I mean. Absolutely. I mean, if you look into the traditional leasing sector, so usually you have to lock yourself in a 1-year contract, as Guy was saying. So basically, the co-living option is much simpler because you don't have to lock yourself for a long time. Our typical contract is 6 months, but we also offer 1-month contract.
Okay.
You don't have to do any contract for the utilities or internet connection. That is sometimes very troublesome for people because again, you have lock-in time and you don't have flexibility basically, you know?
Correct.
And what we try to cut short all these issues that people might face where they have to enter in a traditional leasing contract with the landlord.
Right. That's very interesting, actually. And it brings me to my next question, which I think Guy kind of touched upon in the beginning. That recently I visited a WeWork office. I mean, of course, when I say recently, I mean pre-COVID. And the environment I saw in a co-working space was completely different from a normal office. There were spaces that would encourage mingling with each other. There were events that were designed so that people who are working together in a co-working space could get to know each other. So and I could hear so many stories of how people have met in a co-working space. They have found like-minded people, have started new companies and are succeeding. So it did seem like one of the key offerings of a co-working space was a sense of community. I would just like to understand, does that also hold true for a co-living space? Is that sense of community an important offering in a co-living space? And if it is, then as somebody who's managing these spaces, what initiatives do you take to foster that feeling of community or that sense of belonging to a space, especially because it's transitionary? I mean, somebody could be in just for 6 months, but then how do you build a community around them anyway? So yeah. Maybe Guy could start.
Totally.
Guy,
Yeah. I'd love, so the way I usually describe is that people come for amenities and stay for the community. And I think that there's still a high percentage of people, of residents, of co-living residents that go to co-living spaces because it is the simplest option to get a bed or to get a bedroom. And also because it's just, probably also one of the best offers in the market. Now,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Best?
Sorry?
I didn't get the last part. The best offers in the market.
The best, it's probably one of the best offers in the market, right? Now, the question really is like, do people come for the community? I think there's a community feeling that people want, but definitely the community feeling, and it really is a feeling, is something that will make people stay longer. So when you look at, for example, co-living spaces that really invest heavily into community building and into also almost self-governed communities, you can see how the average stay goes from 9 months to 2.5 years. And so the key question for operators is, how can we create a journey for the new resident that would integrate that person into the community? And I can say a few things of what can be done, but I'd love to hear, Michael, first what you're doing to stimulate your club.
No, I mean, for us it was very interesting because we started our operation 1 month before the total lockdown for COVID, for the pandemic. So we had the calendar, we had a lot of initiative we had in mind to create bonding within our community. And of course, we know, even though we have a certain age group and we have a lot of similarity within our community, we also have some people that are a bit outside this group, no? And definitely, I mean, we face a different situation when we started the pandemic because it was very difficult to put people together, not just because it was not allowed by the government, of course, and also for safety measure, but also because people were very scared, and still people are very scared as of now to get together. So we try as much as possible to engage people remotely and to support people, because last year in March, the situation was pretty bad here in the Philippines. And many people also have struggled to get the basic need like food or basic supplies. So we try to give also sort of psychological support to our tenant, so to visit them and to bring them food and basic supply. So I think is very important. It's true. I mean, there are a lot of similarity with the co-working space in terms of the importance to build a strong community. And definitely, yes. I mean, I really looking forward to end this period and to really being able to get people together, no, and try to put people together. At the end of the day, I think that the social aspect within a community. I mean, now we are all suffering this issue, no? I mean, being relegated at home on office and don't be able to travel or to socialize with people. And I think definitely, even within the smaller group of our communities, I can see that people are suffering for that.
So
Totally.
what initiatives can we take? Actually, we have a very interesting question. I'll ask the question, and maybe that could be a part of the response. That how do community managers contribute in co-living spaces, and would their roles in a co-living space be different than their contribution in a normal building? You know, how would that be different?
Guy, want to start?
Sure. I think there's the role of the community manager is actually underestimated a lot in the co-living ecosystem, and how important it is. When you look at traditional hotels, the main role of somebody, for example, the reception, is to welcome you, to make you feel safe, and then to just guide you into your journey and to hand over the keys. While for me, a community manager is a person that has a lot of so-called soft skills, who is a community builder themselves, who is able to help people, and who facilitates a framework in which the community can flourish. And that's hard to find, and it's even hard to create. Main roles, I think, of the community manager really is like understanding who's in the house, helping them throughout the journey, and helping them also actualize their needs. And here I'll give a concrete example. On one side, one could do maybe like a Tuesday margarita cocktail night and a Thursday salsa class.
Right.
And it sounds good, and it's probably fun and brings people together. Now the question is, will that serve residents long term? And the opposite of that would be to involve residents, right? For the community managers to go to people and be like, hey, what do you want to do out of the space, right? And maybe figure out that person is a DJ, and then from there on create like a live DJ set, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So helping people to actualize their needs.
Right. That's interesting. Michael, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, for us, sometimes we consider the community manager like the hype man, so a person that really need to create bonding and maybe also deliver a bit of funny situation within the community. On the other side, and we really experience in this period, it's very important for the community managers to emphasize with the people, no? Because this situation is difficult for everybody. So many people might feel left alone, and especially looking at our community, that is a very young community, and especially for us and for our community, this is sometimes the first situation for them to live outside of their home, so the family home. Right. So sometimes we also need to deliver the sort of home feeling, try to give a sort of family support. It's not family. We always say, I mean, I don't consider ourselves as a family. Family is at home. We don't want to steal that role, but still to have a sort of role of counselor and listener, no? I mean, our community have an average age of about 24, 25-year-old, no? So it's very young.
Right, right.
And yes, it's true. I mean, the community manager need to resolve all these little issues that the community might face during the day. Sometimes a very simple issue that are maybe related to what we do now with, we just implemented a new curfew here in the Philippines. So what we're gonna do now? So can I still go to work? How can I go to work, or how can I go back for the weekend to visit my family? So, I mean, more than one community manager, I see our team as all involved in the community. Part of my team are even physically part of the community because are a tenant in our co-living space. But even myself, I'm very much involved with the community because sometimes tenants want to discuss things personally with me. And for me, it's very important to listen to the community because on one side, I'm a social person, so I'm really happy to be involved in the daily life of the community. As an entrepreneur, it's very important for me to understand the needs of the community because I can reshape my model. No, definitely, co-living space is an evolving business because, as I said, as of now, for us, it's important to serve the young workforce here in the country. But maybe with working from home, we might need to serve another class in the future, like, for example, student or maybe other kind of people. No, so it's very, very important at any level to be involved with the community. And really, I'm very happy because, I mean, we have a team that is very much involved with the community.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting. We have another question that it's not addressed to either of you in particular, but I think both of you can answer this. Is co-living an established practice in your respective countries? And what is your vision for countries like India, where co-living is just about starting? So what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Should I start? You start, Guy?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, it's very interesting because first it makes me laugh the question in my country. I left Italy in 2004, so I don't know which is my country anymore. But of course, I mean, I'm familiar with. But I mean, I love the Philippines, I love the country, so I mean, it blends very well everywhere. So Italy, of course, is a different market, same as probably similar to what Guy was saying at the beginning. So it's a market where people take co-living as a temporary step in their journey, their life journey. Here is a different environment, no? And what can I say? Italy, there is, I mean, the co-living market is flourishing, and it again is similar to the European model. India is super interesting because, of course, of the population, the number of mega city within the country, and of course, the people that can be served. I was having a conversation 2 years ago with an Indian friend talking about co-living, and he told me that just in India, there are 60 million students studying away from their home city. So basically, there is a market just for students, 60 million people. So imagine the opportunity, you know? Yes. So definitely, Indian is a. I mean, I think the model that we're using now in the Philippines can definitely be shared in countries like India. We're looking now into Indonesia as well. There are, I mean, it's a very easy to share the model, no? And yeah, so we just need to have the time and effort to move to another country. Yeah.
So we'll wait for you guys to come to India.
I'd love to.
Guy, any last comments that you want to make? Because we will have to wrap up the session now. So any last comments that you'd like to make?
Totally. I think, you know, one of the big hopes was for co-living to be recognized as its own asset class, which starts to emerge slowly in certain countries. I wouldn't say that co-living is nearwhere established in any country. Even, for example, specifically France, you see all of the co-living developments have been approved last year. So you're going to see them like opening in 3 to 4 years. So the curve is really just going to grow. And India is really interesting, as Michael said, for like the huge target audience, but also because there's like certain prerequisites that make co-living work. There's a lot of like building infrastructure, residents care, for example, less about luxurious elements than like the European market. So the aggregator model works way better, which is what you've seen also with like the whole how OYO has been growing and other organizations in the sector.
Right. That's great. So my takeaway from this session is that co-living is here to stay, especially because, especially in countries like India, where you have so many people living in transitionary phases. And hopefully we are able to drive a sense of community, and community management is going to play an important role. So thank you so much, Guy and Michael, for joining in. And we're so grateful that you could participate in this conference. And before you leave, I would like to make an announcement again, because it's a virtual conference. People come and people go. I just like to say again that we had about 325 people live, and they're all from different parts of the world who've joined in to be a part of this conference. And I would also like to take this opportunity to announce that just the way we're doing this virtual conference now, we are planning to bring IRECMIS to Dubai on 9th of December to 2021, hopefully in a physical event. And we would love to reach out to you and see how we can bring an international flavor to this conference. So thank you so much for joining in. And we look forward to future interactions with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Arsham. Thank you, Guy.